What do you think specifically went wrong and why?
Yeah, thank you so much for the opportunity to talk to you all. I think it's really important that elected officials, people in positions of power, come before great journalists like yourself and talk about issues like this. I would say that absent some actual bad actors, I think the overall issue is a systemic failure, which is that during the pandemic, King County received lots of new resources from the federal government. This was a time of emergency, and we made conscious decisions to get dollars out of the door as quickly as possible because people were in crisis, right? People needed rental assistance, people needed food assistance, people needed masks and vaccines, and there are a lot of smaller organizations that are able to reach the most vulnerable populations more effectively than a big organization or King County itself can because they have more authentic relationships, they're closer to the ground, they live in the very neighborhoods that we want to most help. And so there was a conscious decision to lower barriers for organizations like that to participate, which means there is more of an assumption of risk. At the same time, the resources that were available grew very rapidly. I think you read in the reports like the grants programs grew by like 95%. They almost doubled in a very short period of time. The infrastructure needed to hold those dollars and these systems accountable, the oversight, the financial controls, the boots on the ground auditing, those types of systems did not keep pace with the growth of those resources. And so while I could say that they're just, bad employees or bad actors or what, I think really what the heart of this is that leadership did not put enough resources into oversight and financial controls to keep pace with the growth of the resources that are needed when you're partnering with organizations that might not have the same kind of technical capacity to deliver in a more accountable way. So at the end of the day, that's an explanation, not a justification. It is unacceptable any misuse of dollars, any risk that we are adding to taxpayer dollars. We need to be accountable for that, and we need to change that, and that's exactly what my administration is doing.
So what have you fixed right now? What have you fixed? What's still broken, and who is going to be held accountable?
Absolutely. So first of all, this is month 3 or 4 of this new administration, sure. And on my first 100 days in office, the big policy direction that I announced was accountability, performance, transparency. I did an executive order on one of my top priorities, which is better government. And so that directive says that King County is going to have an overarching commitment to performance. That means that we're going to measure our success based on the outcomes that we deliver and not based on how much money we spend or how many new programs we launch. It means we're going to be accountable. I hired a new internal audit director that's already started. This is going to be somebody that is going to proactively assess risk, identify issues throughout all of the departments. I announced a sub-cabinet that's focused on accountability and transparency, meaning all of my top department directors are going to be meeting very regularly to find these types of risks and eliminate them proactively and not wait for the independent auditor to give us a bad grade on our report card, but we're actually going out there and aggressively doing it. For the first time in the history of King County, we're going to do something called base budgeting, which means we're not just going to roll over the entire budget, like 95% of it from year to year without taking a close look at what's actually being funded. We're going to start from the bottom up and say everything's on the table. We're going to analyze everything. We're going to find programs that are not producing the results that they are intended to. We're going to find risks. We're going to build the budget from the bottom up. And so there are so many different things that we're doing, and I'm very confident that once we implement all of these measures, we're going to be held to the standard that I know this government can be.
Executive, this feels like a fog machine.
Yeah.
And what I mean by fog machine is I think it is awesome. I'm going to ask you, I'm going to come back to what you guys plan on doing because the people are going to want to know. We want to see a timeline, but I want to go back because I know the future is great.
Yeah.
But I want to go back. Was it incompetence or broken system the reason why the funds were mismanaged? Forget the future. Yeah. Let's talk about what happened because you weren't the leader then, but you were on the King County Council, right? Dow Constantine was the leader. So we want to know, was it a broken system or was it incompetence?
Broken system was how I would describe it.
Okay, and how long will it take for that broken system to be fixed?
I think it's being fixed as we speak, right? We want to make sure that we're putting in place the proper financial controls. The auditor, when they identified these issues, made a list of several recommendations, and DCHS, the specific department that's in question right now, is on track to meet all of them. You know, making sure that all of our employees are doing the fraud training, making sure that we have proper financial controls like site visits to actually put eyes and ears on the ground when we give an organization some dollars. Those types of recommendations that the auditor said, they're up on a website right now. People can check them out as we speak and see that they're making progress. And it's unacceptable that this happened, and we're going to change it.
Executive, one of the things that is so frustrating is that you hear about this, and I know that the department head who was in charge of this particular agency is no longer there, right? I mean,
Right.
So that's one of the things. But people want to know, like, who's being held accountable? And there was something that your colleague, Council Member Dembowski, said last week that was really striking to me.
These organizations, which were really the ones identified by the auditor, in most cases didn't have the experience, didn't have the capacity to, I think maybe they were more optimistic than capable to deliver on some of the programs. They fell down. There's also some that just defrauded us. People clearly stole money. You can just see it. And I am very frustrated that there has not been more action to have accountability on that. We're going to have a report coming out pretty soon from a private accounting firm, Clark Newber, who we've hired to review those contracts. And that, I think, can serve as the basis to take next steps in terms of civil recoveries and perhaps even criminal cases.
I think taxpayers want to know. I mean, if there was criminal activity involved, an actual theft, outright theft, that someone's held accountable or some people are held accountable, and the county doesn't do business with them.
Absolutely. 100% agree with that statement. If there was a crime committed, there will be accountability. Full stop.
You mentioned you did agree to the part where you said broken system.
Yeah.
I want to go back into that broken system.
Yeah.
And in order for a system to find out if it's broke or working, these organizations would have to be vetted.
Yeah.
On a scale of 1 to 10, where would you say King County was, on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being really good at the vetting process for these folks out here that help mismanage the funds?
I would say we weren't doing enough.
Scale of 1 to 10.
I can't give a specific number, but clearly when you're talking about the scale of the mishaps that happened, it wasn't good.
I would say the King County taxpayers believe that you guys were probably about a 1, considering it was really bad.
Absolutely.
So right now, I do know about your executive order that happened. What deadlines should the public hold you to in the year 2026 where they can say, okay, I feel better. It does not feel like a fog machine.
Right now.
Right now.
Right now. Absolutely. Right now. We have hired the internal audit director. We're doing the base budget analysis. We're implementing performance measures. We're already, DCHS is already doing way more site visits and making sure that they have eyes and ears on the ground when grant dollars are going out. And let's be very clear that there are trade-offs here, right? If you want to trust community organizations and you want to make sure that they're delivering services on behalf of the people they serve, micromanaging them and doing the level of site visits and the level of control, that has trade-offs, which means I'm hearing from community organizations now saying it's hard for us to do our jobs with you breathing down our necks. It's hard for us to keep pace with the amount of reporting and tracking and requirements. That takes resources, that takes staffing, that takes our hands away from the actual delivery of the services. And so finding the right balance is what we're trying to do, because I believe that equity and accountability are not mutually exclusive, right? We have to have a commitment to community organizations that deliver services in an authentic way. And we have to have the proper protocols and systems in place to make sure tax dollars are being used appropriately. And so this is not an abandoning of quote unquote trust community. This is, let's get our own house in order, and then we can deliver the services as effectively as possible.
But you announced that you want to build an additional 500 housing units in 500 days. Explain your plan.
Yeah, absolutely. So first of all, I'll start off with the problem statement. We have a homelessness crisis in this region. It's no secret. Every single year, if you poll the community and ask people what they care about, homelessness is always number one. Not to mention that we have thousands of people, our neighbors, our brothers and sisters, our family members living outside. When we did the point-in-time count a couple years ago in 2024, we found that there were 16,000 people sleeping outside every single night. If you did that same poll 2 years before that, it was 14,000. If you did it 2 years before that, it was 12,000. So the number of people sleeping outside every night is only growing. And there are many reasons for that, right? We have an astronomical cost of living. We have a massive shortage of affordable housing. We have behavioral health issues. We have violence. We have trauma. We have a criminal justice system where people come into King County's custody and they might be discharged before they have any next place to go. And so the way that I'm phrasing this problem is as a cycle. It's not just that people are sleeping out on the streets. It's that they have overlapping issues, oftentimes distinct issues, but also intertwined on a population level. People are experiencing homelessness, addiction, mental health issues, trauma, sometimes committing crime, ending up in the King County Jail, and then leaving these systems without a next step. So my goal is, number one, to bring all these systems together so that they are in better coordination with each other, so that somebody is not going from one part of the system to the next without that proper next step and that proper care. So I'm forming a work group to bring them all together and really collaborate. I'm making sure that we have a policy team in the King County Executive's office that is expert on these issues and constantly driving that policy forward. And we're also committed to starting off with a goal of 500 units within 500 days. That's not the end. That is not the complete picture of what is needed. That is just to keep us on an aggressive timeline so that we can build as many roofs over people's heads, coordinated with behavioral health services, addiction care, all of the other things that people need. And finally, we're also exploring the possibility of a new revenue source to stabilize the system and build enough units over people's heads. And I know you're going to have some questions about that.
Yes.
And I'm ready to answer them.
Yeah, I will ask that in a second, because it seems you described that the homeless population in King County has grown year over year. I have been here long enough to have heard previous executives, previous Seattle mayors talking about their new plan to end homelessness. So what specifically is in your plan that is going to be different and is going to be more effective than what we have seen so far?
Number one, I have learned enough to not come out with some big dramatic statement that we're going to end homelessness with this initiative, right? My goal is for us to work more effectively together. First of all, by recognizing that all of these issues are interconnected, right? I'm not just talking about roofs over people's heads. I'm not just talking about substance use care. I'm not just talking about involvement in the criminal justice system. I'm saying all of it needs to work better together. And right now, there doesn't exist a platform for all these systems, all these people within these systems to come together, collaborate, and coordinate. So that's number one. And number two, I want to make sure that we have the functional accountability so that we're tracking how somebody's moving through these systems and that they're ending up, we're investing in the things that actually work. So my good governance plan that we were just talking about before, which says that you have to produce results in order to keep getting funding. That's going to be baked into this plan as well, that we want to make sure that we're doing an assessment. If you are moving people from the street and into a stable next step and you're showing us that result on a regular basis, you're going to get more resources. If you're not, we're going to move away from you.
Okay, that's encouraging. The Regional Homelessness Authority, which quite frankly has turned into a debacle, is that something that's still part of the plan?
They're going to be working with us around siting people and finding these properties and activating them with more shelter and with more housing. So the plan is for them to be with us and part of the system, and we need to make it better.
King County Executive Girmay Zahilay, I just want to say, will you come back next month?
Absolutely.
Yeah, and the reason why is because Ursula and I, we have many more questions.
Oh, my God.
We appreciate the fact that you came to the hot seat right there, no doubt. And so if we could get you back next month so we can ask you more questions, see where we are, and just kind of develop a relationship a little bit.
I'd love to do that.
And just real quick, because I know we're so out of time, but this new, you're talking about new money. Just real quick, tell us what that is, because that's important.
So it is not an announcement for a new tax. It is exploring it and taking into an accounting of how does this impact people's cost of living. right?
So it's not a done deal.
It's not a done deal because I've never seen the level of tax sensitivity that we're seeing out in our community right now.
Let me pull up to your meeting and tell you. We don't want no more taxes.
I hear you. I hear you.
Yeah, no,
so
really.
that's why in my remarks I said, if you're going to do an analysis and bring me a proposal for a new housing levy, I want you to show me how the trade-off is worth it. Because if you're increasing people's property taxes and you're pricing them out of their home, is that the trade-off that's needed to build more housing? I'm not going to take that as a done deal or as an assumption. Somebody has to show me their work.
Thank you for coming by.
Thank you so much.
We'll see you next month.
Absolutely.
We'll see you next month.
Thank you so much.